Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who've joined us here today for this very important discussion. In 2011, Susan Walford, an LA-based wealth advisor, got an extraordinary referral. The beneficiary of a large estate wanted to meet her to discuss managing her investments, specifically because Walford was so well known in this area and openly gay. The potential client made it very clear that she wants someone who might deal with her and her partner in an all-encompassing way. Quite a testament, I must say, to the power of being out in the workplace. But where are we here in India now? Well, the historic 6 September win, when the Indian Supreme Court finally overthrew Section 377, might have put us in the right stead, affecting positively millions of LGBT persons here in India. But in that context, I see very few people who feel comfortable to come out in their professional and personal lives. As allies, as people who have stronger voices, we are their proxy in the room where decisions are being made. We are the people who can drive that change. My name is Mamta, and I'll be the moderator for this session. To give a brief introduction about myself, in my day job, I'm a leader with the Global Strategic Initiatives team for Novartis Healthcare. And in my gay job, I have been leading the LGBTI Equity ERG for Novartis Hyderabad for the past 20 plus months. Very proud to be part of a company which was marked as a gold employer in the IB Awards. We have an amazing panel of guests here, my corporate colleagues and leaders in their own companies and industries. So let's welcome the panelists for a very important discussion today, from ally to action, leveraging your position to create real impact. We have Deepa Narasimhan from Dell, Gunveen Ahuja from HSBC, Ashish Jha from Invesco, and Shilpa Singh from AGS. Let me go around the table for a quick introduction from each one of them. Deepa?
Thank you so much, Mamta, and good morning, good evening, to many who are joining the conference across, the globe. Glad it's a virtual platform so everyone can join. So I'm Deepa here. I lead the diversity and inclusion for Dell Technologies. One of the key things that I would call out was the Pride Charter that we started in India. I'm very proud of it, and I will share my learnings to being an ally and to being able to bring in a lot of change within my organization. And thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, Deepa. Next, can we move to Gunveen, please?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mamta. And Deepa, thank you for starting off the conversation. My name is Gunveen Ahuja. I am part of HSBC, like Mamta's already introduced. In my day job, I manage one of the largest contact center within HSBC, which is based out of Bangalore. And also, I'm extremely passionate and also manage the diversity and inclusion portfolio within the Bangalore site, and I'm also the India lead for Pride. Very, very excited to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to an interesting conversation today and hoping for a lot of questions from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gunveen. Ashish?
Yeah, thanks, Mamta. Thanks for setting the stage and tone. And you're so right. We're here to share our stories and best practices and making workplace more inclusive. My name is Ashish, and I head the digital transformation for Invesco Group, and I also co-lead the DNI ERG at Workplace. Thanks to Odd and Equal for giving us this opportunity to share our thoughts and best practices that makes any workplace more inclusive, creating equality and giving everyone equal opportunity. Thanks. Looking forward.
Thank you, Ashish. Shilpa?
Hi everyone, this is Shilpa Harsh, and I lead corporate communications, CSR, and diversity and inclusion for AGS. And very, very happy to be on this panel. Looking forward to hearing from all my panelists and learning and taking these best practices to AGS. And thanks a lot to Out and Equal for having me on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Shilpa. With that, let us get started with the round of questions and Shilpa, maybe the first one goes to you since you were the last one where we tried to introduce yourself. So the first question, and while anybody, please feel free to probably give your inputs to it. The first question which I would like to pose to every one of you here is if you could throw some light on what are some of the small daily actions that someone can really take up to be a better ally to the LGBTQIA plus community in the workplace.
Thanks for that, Mamta. I think being an ally, I think as simple as it sounds, holds a lot of meaning. And as a good LGBTQ plus ally, we are making a commitment to support, show respect, and advocate for members of the community in a very, in a scenario where their voices are allowed to be heard. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can do as an action when it comes to being an ally. We have to understand our biases, we have to educate ourselves, we have to listen, we have to speak consciously, and we have to act. Small actions every day, I think, are important.
Thank you, Shilpa. Would anybody else want to probably share your side of thoughts as well?
Yeah. I could go, Mamta. So for me, being an ally, started way back, I would say in 2015, right? While the organization still was getting matured enough, into the space of the LGBTQ, right? So as a DNI leader, I've led, inclusion charters like for persons with disability or gender. But then I became very active in the community, of the LGBT. So I used to take part, in external activities, be it the Namma Pride Bengaluru, right, which was very out there, and I took part, in the event every year. Having said that, I wanted to reflect that back into the organization, right? And it was, like I said, the 377 was holding many organizations back, to bringing a very strong voice and a very strong commitment, right? So 2018, Dell launched the Pride, ERG, right? It was way before the 377 bill was removed, right? And I would call that as a big, a pride for us because believe me, it was way too difficult to maneuver the conversation across different functions within the organization. So be it our legal team, be it our facility team. I still recall 2 years back when, we wanted to have the gender neutral washroom, right, set across all our sites. The first question that I was asked from my facility head was, this is a good thing. I will support you, Deepa, and we should definitely go ahead and do it. But he said, I don't see this across many of our public spaces. I'm not seeing it in airports. I'm not seeing it in malls. How do you want us to, lead the wave, right? Or lead it from the front, right? So, these were the kind of small things where, everything was in the back burner because of the 377. But looking at where we are today, I think it brings us a lot of pride because we are, not just as allies, even people from the community and the leaders are able to showcase, how they showcase strong support as being an ally. It could be wearing the colored, the lanyards, right, showing that being part of the ERG, right, which is very important. Using the right terminologies when you're addressing people. So we've gone long way in, ensuring that we are not just allies, but we know how to actively action being in this space.
Thank you. I think very fair point, Deepa. Gunveen, you would like to add
Thanks.
your thoughts?
Yeah, I totally echo Deepa's thoughts. I think the change has to begin from you. And you have to be truly, I would say, invested in the cause to be able to make that difference. Because people gauge what you stand for, because I think everyone can talk, but it's how authentic you come across as is extremely important. As an organization, some of the things that we did, yes, in 2018, we did launch the ERG, but we did it after, 377 ruling came in. But then, making sure that we have, uh, education around diversity and inclusion, and with a lot of focus on pride during the induction time. That's the starting point. And also ensuring that giving people that option, if they want to sign up as allies, if they are not sure what they are signing up for, we tell them, hey, you know what, here are some virtual trainings that you can go through in case you want to be an ally and you want to be connected to the cause and create that environment of inclusivity. I think that is another thing that we consciously do. And I think, I'm sure it's not only for HSBC, but a lot of other organizations also consciously put a lot of branding around the workplace. And I think that's a statement saying, hey, you know what, we are inclusive, we don't judge you, and we want you to be part of HSBC. I think these are very, people tend to notice those small things which they see within the organization. Gender neutral washrooms is another one. I think these are some of the things people tend to pick up, and then they are the ones, they yes feel inclusive, but they also become our brand ambassadors. They are likely to go and say, hey, you know what, I feel extremely comfortable being there and I'm not treated any differently.
No, very fair points, Gunvi. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Ashish, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, of course. And I think I agree with all those valid, great points made by the panelists. One thing that I would like to add is you have to wear your allyship on your sleeves. You have to be out there. You have to create that safety net and the culture of respect for all sort of diversities. And as Gurveen said, when you take care of people and you celebrate their differences and diversities in the choices that they make, that's when you create your brand value. Then you do not have to scream that we are inclusive organization, because these brand ambassadors then go and talk about you, right? And that creates the sense of comfort and respect at workplace. We did start with all of the things that just was mentioned, like gender neutral washrooms, policies, and we never shied away from talking about it, be it on the floor, be it in our work galleries, whether it's a boardroom discussion or whether it's a sidewalk discussion. Everything was surrounding around inclusiveness. And disrespecting anyone was not forbidden at all. You have to respect everyone for what they bring to workplace. And we primarily focus on the skills and the value they add to organization, and irrespective of where they come from and the choices that they make in life. So respect, safety net, and being ally for real, beyond Excel sheets and beyond targets, is something that goes a long way.
No, I think very fantastically spoken, all of you. I think I can truly relate myself to Shilpa's points of all small actions. I mean, what I have seen from my experience as well is making these small actions every day, and it's in a repeated fashion helps to drive that change. And it's a very important change, and it takes time for that change to happen. And Deepa, to your point, you took me to my journey of gender neutral washrooms as well, and I can so relate to that. It's not really easy to make anything of that sort happen, even if it's part of the agenda. Even from a strategic standpoint, it takes a lot of hands and legs to make that happen. And truly, Gunveen, authenticity and awareness, I think two things extremely important. Something that Ashish also vouched for, creating the safety net and the culture of respect. And we have to wear it really on our sleeves, otherwise people will see through, and we'll not be able to, as ambassadors, as allies, to bring about that change. So I think very extremely important points, and very important facts on how we can become better allies. Let me move on to the next question and get all of your thoughts. If you could cite some examples, that you remember of allyship, which can lead to long-term change, and how do you continue to push forward when it's difficult? And honestly, I truly believe that it is not an easy topic, especially in India. We all have, probably passed through many barriers to get to where we are as companies, as individuals, and we have this journey that we continue to do on in spite of all the difficulties. So what are some of the examples which you think can affect this long-term change, and how do you keep yourself motivated enough? How do you push yourself through the day even when you find it difficult? So maybe Ashish, you can get started on that, if you don't mind.
Sure. I think this is It's very apt and very anecdotal example that I have. Me and my wife, we were featured in Times of India, Hyderabad Pride Walk, wearing the Pride T-shirt and having all those rainbow, flag on our back as a cape. And I started getting calls. I started getting calls from my friends, from my dad. Is everything all right? I just saw your photo in Times of India front page. I said, yeah, but why are you surprised? I've been supporting this. I know what I'm doing. So taking pride in what you do is absolutely critical. And change begins from home and your surrounding itself, not just four walls of your corporate setup. There you might be there. I have seen certain pseudo allies who want to be allies, but they have this little story or back talks going in behind. That is something that needs to be discouraged right from the start. You should not be allowing anyone to make those crash comments or side comments when you are leading such initiatives. If you have to educate them, go ahead and educate them. Don't confront them, but help them understand what it means, why you're supporting this cause, and why you need to step ahead and support community. I think that dialogue is absolutely necessary. There is some amount of ignorance as well. When people speak, they do not follow the right language or right gesture in which someone needs to be acknowledged or addressed. These things comes from learning, but then it creates a little bit of bad taste in people from the community itself when you don't address them with right pronouns, or when you don't address them with the right salutation that they must be addressed with. So you should arrest that thing right at the point when you hear that. And don't confront if someone is trying to be a little difficult in terms of accepting the whole situation. Try and make them understand what it means and why you're doing these things that you're doing, and why you are so much behind making workplace inclusive workplace. You will have your own comments, and people will definitely pass judgments on you. They will try and tell you, oh, have you moved to community? But take it in a positive stride, help them understand why you're doing it. Yeah, so I think keeping your chin high and taking pride in what you do is absolutely necessary.
Thank you, Ashish, for your comments. Deepa, would you want to add something to that?
Sure, sure. So, when I look back, right, I think it was very important for me to partner as being an ally and as being a DNI lead, take the voice from the community within the organization. So for my, partner, when we launched the Pride ERG was, a handful of very, passionate people who wanted to drive this within the organization, right? We are fairly a large organization, and we wanted to spread across all our sites, be it Bangalore, Gurgaon, Chennai, all our sites, right? So it was very important that our voices are being heard. So I had these amazing individuals from the community. One was Sanjay, of course, he's moved out of Dell, but then he was a very active voice, an open gay man, and I learned so much from him, on how, to make the right decisions within the organization. How do we strategically start things, if you are new to this space, right? And then Shane Mills, who is again a great ally and a great person from the community, leads from the Hyderabad site, right? So leading it from them was very authentic, I would say, because we could hear more from them and we could see what we could bring a big difference within the organization. So when we started out with, of course, building the awareness within the company, right? It was more about the 101 trainings, so that we establish the right, awareness across the organization, be it for the leaders and be it for the team members. We also, launched something called an online certification program. It's a wonderfully designed 30 minutes, training module. Someone who's joined the company or also who's within the company can take it. And, once you complete that 30 minutes, you get a very nice printed certificate that you can probably pin it up onto your, desk, so that you become an visible ally, right? And, the certification also, enables you to be very, positive and, very confident when you're being an ally. And then, we kind of did a whole lot even under the transgender community. We launched awareness program, within the organization, something called the Arwani painting. You must have heard about it. There were a lot of women from the community who came and showcased this painting and also had a story to share. And these was very well received within the organization, because it was an eye opening for many who didn't hear from the community. And this year, after the virtual space, we launched the 21-day ally challenge, which was completely virtual. And the biggest win for us was we got close to 400 plus allies in the 21-day challenge that we hosted. That was a big win for us. So as a leader, and as someone who's been an ally, I want to call out few action that everyone can take. First, stop being part of any kind of homophobic jokes, right? It could be on your WhatsApp group, it could be even in a very general conversation that you're having with your team, right? Ensure that if you hear it, or you call that out and you do not promote that, right? So be a active voice there. Spread the awareness, of course, within your team members. Ensure that you take everyone along. Like I said, this is still a very not very open. You need to have a lot of awareness so that people become very more aware. So take them along with you. Ensure that they're part of your ERGs. Ensure that they're part of your employee engagement program that you kind of launch part of the Pride ERG. So taking them along is very important, I feel.
Very fair points, Deepa. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Gunveen, would you want to add your thoughts to that as well?
Sure. I think I completely echo what Ashish and Deepa have said. One, it's important that if you're truly an ally, be out there in the front and don't care what people say, honestly. And that's the starting point, I guess, for all of us. And second is, I would say what's really important is having the right people to lead the cause. So Deepa, incidentally, our first one of our first colleagues who came out when we and agreed to speak, his name was also Sanjay. And yeah, I did know that he was a gay. And then when we formally launched the ERG, and I walked up to him. I Initially I was a little unsure, should I even ask him that question, and would he be okay to be part of the conversation starter, because we did invite people from various other organizations within our industry. He was more than happy to do it. It was just matter of asking him, and he's the one who's been a conversation starter, truly a conversation starter, I would say, in true sense of the word, within the India side. Yes, we've had we can get guests by the virtue of the width of the organization. We've got all the support possible from our global sites, but we needed somebody within who says, hey, you know what, I'm here, and this is what my journey's been, and it's been a tough one. It's not been easy. It's better that you are out there, and if possible, get the right support and identify yourself, because it doesn't help to have dual lives. I know it's not easy, and it's still not going to be easy. It's still difficult for a lot of people, and we are all on that journey. uh, Another thing that we definitely, uh, I think, showing your support. Deepa mentioned about the certificates. We've encouraged a lot of people who've signed up for our allyship, or even if they've not signed up for the allyship, they can start using the Pride logo with saying, "Hey, I'm an ally." You see in my background, that's gone into a lot of signatures, and people have made a conscious effort to do that. I think lanyards is another thing. I think it was a big moment for us, the way it started, and probably somewhere during the course I'll share that story. It was an interesting one, how we grew from a small set of people to probably it becoming a rage within the India sites. So it's definitely been very, very exciting. But the most important, I think, is if you care, be there and don't care. about what people say.
If you care, be there and don't care. I think I really am falling in love with that. Shilpa, would you want to add something more to that?
Yeah, so I like to say here that the conversation, and as Gunveen was saying, as Ashish and Deepa also said, the conversation has to be made mainstream. And if you care, be there. Our leadership has to own up the agenda. It has to become a personal priority. Our allies have to be there. It's like a, we have your back kind of a concept. It is across levels where people have to join. It's like giving them the feeling that they are included. And it's also about, it's not just equality, it's equity also, that you are included, it's inclusive, and you have all what you need to be successful in this workplace. So allyship actually, I think, is a very good, I would say, a platform that makes people feel included and gives them the platform to talk about it, what they need to be successful in any workplace. And I think that's what one should look at. It has to be sustained. Change, it's not like at the blink of an eye. It has to be done on an ongoing basis. And I think that has to be really, really kept in the mind of all the allies. It's like you have to keep on pushing it forward. Even at times it will become difficult, but you just have to stay on the course.
Thank you, Shilpa. Thank you, everybody, for those wonderful thoughts. I would personally feel that few of the points, few of the things that you all brought up, one of the things which I also, which resonated with me the most was that just don't be bashful. If I am myself shy and if I am not a strong voice, and we all are in this journey, and you all could probably agree with me on this as well, that there are many times when things are told to us as allies, when things are questioned, when your own gender and sexuality comes into question, your the people talking behind your backs. But I think as strong voices, as true allies, as authentic allies, one of the things that we can really strongly do is just be shameless, to the point of being shameless, I would say, and just keep driving the change from wherever we are standing today, and keep doing that over and over and over again. And it takes, as people say, that culture change is not that easy. It takes time. Great. So let us quickly move into the next important question. So we all spoke about allies. We all spoke right now about the current allies, or allies who probably naturally are true, authentic allies. Um, what are some of the strategies in that you think you've worked on, or maybe you think can work when you're planning to bring in new allies? Does anyone on the panel have examples of this? Some things that you've seen in your workplace which has worked and which you could share with everybody here? And
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, please go ahead.
Can I go
Please.
ahead? Sorry, because I just have
Sure.
to drop out at
No,
12.
that's fine.
I just didn't want to miss this, because we've done quite a bit when it comes to bringing in new allies, right? And like I said, the 21-day challenge that we did, virtually we had 400 plus allies within the company who registered. And these were smaller, simpler online, tasks that they had to do, and, probably get more awareness, right? That is one. And definitely, playing it from the top is very important. Your leaders needs to be there. They need to talk about it, and stories make a huge change, right? And I'm a strong believer of bringing the authentic stories from the people. So we've done a lot of stories from the community, right? Which changed a lot of it opens up to understand the kind of challenges that people go through, and how one can support them, right? Being their voice. So I think stories, I think, leadership, which is very important in this space, right? And having a lot of avenues, to bring these allies, so that they become more actionable, right, is also critical. Talking about allies, how one became an ally, right? How did they transform, right? Is very important to bring those kind of stories. So I think, I want to leave it at that. And we also did a lot of partnership with many companies, workplace, right? Like I said, while, we started the journey, we kind of felt that we were moving, probably one or two steps ahead, wanting to be the change maker in this LGBT space. So, we launched this, definitive guide. I would request all of you to go and see if you can download them. It's called, Creating Inclusive Workplace for the LGBT Employees in India. It's available, on the Community Business website. So we partnered with them and we brought a lot of key things that employers can take care when it, comes to bringing a strong LGBT, inclusive space. So I think it's important to voice that, when it comes to the community and for the organization and giving them the right direction.
Thanks, Deepa. Thanks for that. I know you have to go, but thank you so much for your thoughts and for joining the panel. We'll continue with the rest of the panelists. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to talk to all of you, and thank you so much. And I'm very sorry about it. Thank you.
That's fine. Shilpa, would you want to take that further? Your thoughts on what you believe to be few of these ideas?
I'm having a little bit of a network issue, so I've gone off my video. I hope that's okay.
That's perfect.
And that my voice is clear?
Yeah, your
Thank
voice
you.
is coming. Okay.
So, thank you. So I would say adding new allies to the whole journey. And I would say it's very simple. I think the whole conversation about how important the LGBT plus community is important to the business, that should be brought out again and again. People need to be told that there are many clients who expect us to be allies, who expect us to be an inclusive organization. They would be very happy to give us business if we are an inclusive organization. I think it's very, very important for us to tell our people who are probably sitting on the fence and that to become an ally. It's a straight business conversation again, that it's very important to attract and retain top talent, have key skills. 72% of allies in many, I think in a Gallup conversation said that they are more likely to accept a job at a company if they're supportive, if they're supportive of the community. And I think as an organization, and if again you have to convert and tell people that become an ally, I think the organization stands up for human rights, and that works for a lot of people. So I think adding a lot of this messaging also to tell the people and become allies becomes important.
Thanks, Shilpa. I think they were wonderful thoughts. Ashish, would you like to add your views to that? I think you're talking on mute, Ashish.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think what goes what has gone in favor for us is we tried engagement-driven allyship more than just rolling out allyship form and stuff like that. And it gives an opportunity for everyone to speak their mind, and then diversity comes at the core of whatever you want to do. And that has helped us bring more allies onto the table. What we have intentionally not done is we have not asked too much of them. We have not asked them, we have not set targets for them. We have not said you have to do this or you have to do that. It's more about helping them understand the strategy, helping them understand why we are doing it and why it is necessary for us to be more inclusive at workplace, and that has bring a lot of engagement. What also helps is if you do a bit of gamification of certain initiatives at your workplace, that generates interest. And and you need to be very, very clear to your allies that it's okay to be wrong. You need not know everything of the subject itself, and it's absolutely okay to come back and ask for more information. And the best way to learn about this is to learn from the community members itself as to what is right and what is wrong, and how do you learn more about the subject itself. I think giving that comfort back to allies, that it's absolutely okay to not know everything, yet support in different ways. And I've also seen that when you talk about allyship, it gives you a little bit of leadership experience as well, to speak out, to speak your mind, to put your point forward as to what is right and what is wrong, what should be done in the greater interest of the organization and the community itself. And that has helped us build some leadership skills as well, invariably. And that's a byproduct that we got when we try to make allyship as the mainstream activity for us. Success story is one thing that we have done, both for community members and for allies. someone who has helped in achieving certain things. Like the clear example that I could say is when we had people joining for community, they were a little reluctant in opening up about their sexuality and their gender identity. But after 6 months into the system, they were the ones who came to us and said, you know what, I'm absolutely okay to declare my gender identity and my sexuality. That's not a problem because I feel this place is safe. And there is another way in which we also increased allyship is having a peer group communication where an ally is also talking to their team members or extended team members and helping them understand what allyship is all about, and that pulled a lot of more allies on the ground. So I think these are the few things that has helped us, and it's a little movement. You just need to understand the number of allies in your organization is not directly proportional to how inclusive you are. It's what they bring onto the table. Just for the tick box exercise, don't do it. If your heart is not in the cause, please don't be part of that, because the most damage an ally can do is being a pseudo ally. So yeah, those are the few things that we kept at the core of allyship.
Completely echo with your points, Ashish. Thank you so much. Gunveen, your thoughts on how to get in more allies, true allies, I would say, and not pseudo allies for sure, as Ashish pointed out.
Sure. So I think the strategy, to my mind, needs to be two-part. And this is something that I would say, I would not say we started from the word go, because you do end up people having sign up because it seems like a cool thing to do, being part of being an ally. So I think the strategy is two part. What it has to be internal and external both. And when we talk about doing things internally, we make it part of our induction program, where people have option to really understand what the Pride ERG stands for. A bit of an education session there, where they can choose to be allies, so that they understand what the expectation is from them. And of course, I think another thing that's really important, and which probably shows to an extent, there'll always be some part of people who will be truly allies, and there will be some who would be truly not be the ones. So I think wearing lanyards, uh, I think that's something that we started, um, and it was started in a very interesting manner. This is before the 377 ruling actually came out, and I had traveled to Manila and Hong Kong, and we had these really nice, attractive-looking lanyards, which I begged, borrowed, steal from both the places that I was in, and I got them in to Bangalore, and I was wearing it, and suddenly people started stopping by, asking me that if they can get the lanyard. I said, you get the lanyard only if you're able to answer these 5 questions for me. If you can, then you get the lanyard, because they were only limited edition at that point of time. There was no ruling, and they were not being printed locally. Um, Soon the word spread, not only within the contact center, but in other business spaces as well within Bangalore. Um, and soon enough, people were trying to understand, get some questions, answers to some of the questions, because they were random questions. So it's not necessary you'll get all 5 questions, right? So it just wanted to make sure that people understand before they say, okay, we get the lanyard and we want to be the ally, right? And soon there were other people asking, but limited edition ran out. And eventually, I think in September, after 377 ruling came out, then obviously it became, I think we were more open to getting more lanyards, and people, whoever really wants to be an ally, or at least even wants to be a perceived ally, goes out there and picks up a lanyard and wears them. So what it does for us is that it creates a brand, it creates an environment, right? It tells people outside HSBC as well, uh, that we are an inclusive organization. Of course, you do have all that branding internally, and uh, then you suddenly have all the employees wearing these Pride lanyards. The second part is more external, and I think Deepa also touched upon it, how we've partnered with a lot of organizations to show that we are out there and we welcome everyone, and just bring your best self to work. If you fit the bill, we want you. We don't care what your identity is or what anyone else thinks. So I think partnering right from with business community or with Pride Circle, being part of Rise in Bangalore and Gurgaon when it happened, be it being part of 21 Days Ally Challenge, or internally running 24 hours of Ally. It's all about bringing in that more awareness. And also we are extremely conscious that next set of workforce is going to be Gen Z that is going to come in. And they have a very, very strong mindset. They say, if you are judgmental, we don't want to be with you, right? Because and if you have to target that workforce, they have very, very strong opinion. In fact, compared to probably a millennial, I will not even say millennials are also quite open-minded. I would say any other generation, I think they're not only very open, they have very strong opinion about the creating that inclusive environment. And I think there will be soon a point when we would not need to drive this as an agenda, right? So I would say it's making sure that you are what you're doing internally and how you position yourself externally. I think that's what makes all the difference, of showing you that you are out there.
No, thanks, Gunbeen. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Ashish. Thanks, Shilpa. I think extremely important points, and I would say thoughts to ponder upon when we are doing something like a 21-day Ally challenge, like what we also did in Novartis. I was, in fact, it took me back while you all were talking to a thought when I was part of Out and Equal in Washington, D.C. last year. This time it was virtual. I came back and I brought in some stories sitting in front of my teenager nephew. And I was talking about the pain areas that people are going through. There was a parent who was literally crying because his son was pansexual, and the journey that he had to take to fight with local governments and whatnot to drive and make sure that his son is accepted wherever. And this, you're talking of US here. And he comes and says, "Oh well, pansexual, so what?" And I was like, wow, he's 16 and he never ever questioned me twice on, hey, this is not comfortable, or how can we talk about it like this. A lot of baggage that I would say in general, and apologies, but probably I'm kind of stating my thoughts here, that the older generations, we carry our baggages in our minds because we've grown up in those environments where I think this connected world with internet and whatnot, Netflix and Amazon, there are positives and negatives, but I would say I see the positives here more, where people are connected more and more, and we can drive that change in such great ways. I would request that if there are people in the as participants, if you want to pose some questions, we can take few questions towards the end of the session. Let's go on to discuss one more question, maybe. I think we have time for that. How about your thoughts on building allies in spaces where it might be difficult? Difficult from the sense of either locally or maybe within your company, or maybe it could be because of the political environment. What are your thoughts around it? I mean, we've all gone through probably various models that Harvard Business School writes about. But what are really your thoughts about building allies in spaces where it is really difficult to affect that change? And anyone can take it up.
Well, let me pick this because I have worked on this subject a bit, and I'll tell you why I say that. I think if you look at the construct of our society, it's very we all have very religious background. I don't know if it is very controversial topic, but we relate everything to our Vedas and Purans and everything, and then we categorize it as good and evil, right? And that baggage is still there, whether we like it or not. So breaking that becomes a big challenge. How we are perceived outside as an individual, because masculinity, being manly and being the patriarchal society that we have, it's more about being man and being strong and stuff like that. That overpowers the social thinking that we have, because we, for most part of our life, we work more on our acceptance in society than anything else. How are we perceived? How are we looked upon? Those are things that needs to be cracked. Now, how do you break this situation? I think seeing is believing is what I feel. You will have to start bringing the real stories onto the life. So what we did is we brought in people from the community and talk about their struggle, what it meant for them, and we were not apologetic about the language that was being used when the description was put forward, because um, some of the things were really hard hitting, like the type of occupation that community members get involved into and how they are typecasted. Those things had to come out for people to feel that punch. And in about 600 people in that auditorium, I don't think even there was one person who didn't have a wet eye. People were actually relating to it. So that was one thing that we did, and it broke a lot of silos. It started conversation. People start, and we didn't even invite our audience to go and talk to the panelists or people from the community. They just pounced upon them to understand their struggle. I think that was one thing, and we had a lot of so that became pull in terms of allyship and not push. We're not driving it as a number game. We wanted people to feel natural and come about it. Then what we did is we brought in our culture team, which does a lot of act and nukkad natak. I don't know if that is familiar word. And we did a little skit to help them understand what it means, what a person from community actually goes through in daily life. And it is true for people from all walks, people who are privileged and people who are unprivileged. So that pain needs to be felt, and that is when you could see a lot of walls coming down, people being open about talking it. And I think that was a good hit, and I think this works well. You make them part of the journey, you let them walk through that journey, and then you will see the real emotion, because all of us are emotional human beings. That emotion plays in us. So when it gets to that level, you see a lot of real participation, real contribution to the cause itself.
And I think that is extremely helpful. I think, Ashish, very fair points. You have to help people just break their layers, right? Sometimes, and make them feel that comfort, to allow them to just feel the open environment. Any thoughts, Gunbeen, Shilpa, any one of you on that?
So
I think what
just
go ahead, Gunmin.
you go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So I think what Ashish said is, I think, is the crux of it. You involve them in the journey, and when people listen to these real life examples and these stories, the conversation becomes that much more human and human. It is all about emotions, and sometimes the messaging, the conversation becomes very real when these personal stories are out there. People go off the rails when they hear the examples that the community faces, and it is sometimes traumatic and torturous. So being out there, being very transparent and true, I think helps.
Thank you, Shilpa.
So
Gunbeen.
so I'll just one add something that actually got me thinking, and what Ashish and Shilpa have said, totally agree with it. I think the best thing to do is take people on the journey for them to really understand. And we like it or not, we do have a mindset that, if we've created certain environment within the workspace, it's obviously our primary agenda is to do that internally, right? Just to so that the employees are comfortable and they feel inclusive. But I think it's also very important for us to have a bit of an outward view as well, because outward world is not so perfect. So one thing that I think consciously, as part of taking people on the journey, something that's I would say is real and authentic, is working closely with some of the NGOs, who support, for example, the transgender community. uh, or I think that probably is the most pained out of the lot. I'm not saying it's easy for gays or lesbians, but I think that is one community which probably is probably feels or goes through maximum number of maximum hardship. Right, it's partly to do with our cultural setup as a country. I think working with the NGOs and as part of the CSR, and that is where you can take more people on that journey, because you encourage more and more people to come volunteer. Now it could be a simple thing like running some sessions for them, partnering with an organization to do some kind of CSR for them. I think that is another thing to my mind which can actually help us get more authentic allies, somebody, and probably even open up some minds, because what you I mean, at times, despite doing a lot of strong storytelling, we are not able to get through to people. But this could be another way to do it. I mean, it's something that got me thinking after our submission for IWEI, to be very honest.
Thanks, Gunveen. I
I
think
think, yeah, you're right, Nveen, because I think at AGS as well, we do a lot of these, we work with the NGOs, and as part of our CSR activities, be it for people with disabilities or for certain specific communities, training them, volunteering, getting our people involved, and giving them the experience or the chance to connect with these communities goes a long way. And once they experience, they get onto the journey with us. So that's a very valid point.
thank you. Thanks, everyone. I probably I got thinking on a few of the activities that we've done in Novartis, and this started off honestly in this COVID times, stuck in our houses. We couldn't move out anywhere, and I was running the Aglow ERG. We call it Aglow. Um, so we got thinking, and the idea that we got together as a cohort was every Tuesday when we meet, we would make it an open house for people to come and watch this short film. We would just have, you have many documentaries, right, which are something that I can clearly remember right now was Masked. It's again on a transgender person, the story about it. So every Tuesday, concertedly for about 4 months, we would do a very short session where we would talk about what does gay people mean, or what is bisexuality, the entire spectrum of the LGBTQIA plus. And we would end up with a short film or a short story or a short documentary. And I think that helped in raising awareness to a great level, wherein our leaders got interested. We would post it on Yammer, we would give the links of those videos, and it was able to cut through and really bring about a change in the perception, which we could feel that very strongly. And one more thing that we did was we actually partnered with Pride Circle to and our leaders were actually trying and training the LGBT plus candidates who are candidates in the workplace, and that helped our leaders connect with actual LGBT candidates, because a lot of people around have a feeling, okay, really, where are these candidates, who are they really capable? We were able to break those thought processes by doing that. But I truly agree. I think Gunveen, your point, Ashish, your point, Shilpa, your thoughts, I think they were all they all get us to ponder and think more on what we could do differently. Sometimes the steps that we have taken in our own firm, sometimes we think back and think, okay, we could have done it a little differently, and we could have done this a little more. I would really thank all of you for your participation. I yet don't see any questions. So in case if anybody has any questions, now would be your time. Otherwise, I would really, really want to steal one more question in, and we can quickly get our thoughts in before we close the session. So I'll wait for a couple of seconds to see if anybody has a question, or we could probably just go on to ask one last question. Okay, since I don't see anybody asking any questions, let me quickly ask the last question, and in no proper order, if somebody just wants to take it. Um, what are some of the policy changes which you think, now that you're in this journey and you've come quite a way and a long way, all of you being leaders in this area, what are some of the policies which you think could be the first steps for companies to take when they are in this journey of allyship or trying to build in the inclusive environment? What are the right steps to begin with, and right from A to Z? Because sometimes I've seen that we tend to do maybe D, E first, and we forget about A. So what are, in your thoughts, some of the first steps, even before we think of entering this journey?
While we answer that question, there is one question in the Q&A segment. I'll meanwhile answer that.
Yeah, let's go on to answer this. Allyship should be rewarded. So Anita, thanks for that question. I think it was more around, should allyship be rewarded? Because I see that ending with a question. So anybody wants to take that question and answer it?
Yes, I think rewarded can be, it's a very vast term, but I think allyship should be appreciated is what I feel. Should not be tagged with reward per se, but yeah, there has to be a little bit of storytelling about the champion ally, someone who has been a good contributor to overall cause. You give them a little podium to talk about what they have done, how they have made the difference, and what were the challenges that they faced to be a true blue ally. I think that should be done. I would not suggest any monetary benefit or anything else behind rewarding, because then it becomes very different chase game. But they should be identified and they should be appreciated for sure.
Thanks. I think that was perfectly answered very well. Anything else you want to add, Gunveen, to that?
Yeah, I would say allyship in itself is rewarding, right? Because there's a reason why you decided to be an ally, because you want to be there for somebody. You want to be the sounding board and show your support that I care. So I would say it in itself is rewarding.
Great. No, thanks. I think I truly believe in that as well. I think being able to drive any change and any impact that as an individual we can create, I think that in itself is rewarding. And I truly agree with you also, Ashish. Many people who work as allies, the only little bit that we could do is to recognize them, right? Great. I think there is another question which I see here coming from Prajak. Um, and he's saying non-profits are great mobilizers, but inclusion through the lens of CSR may be perceived as charity, which defies the premise of everyone's good efforts. I don't know if that was a question or more of your comment, but we are left with 1 minute. If somebody wants to ponder upon that and have any thoughts between both of you, we could take that before we close the session.
So
I
I
think,
can take,
yeah,
go for it,
go ahead.
Ashish.
No, that's fine. I'll go next. That's okay.
So just so I completely get it. What this Prajwat, I hope I got the name right. Completely agree. It's not charity that we are trying to do. It's more, the mention was more around the transgender community, which needs that extra help right now. They need. There are a lot of people out there who do not even have decent jobs today. The whole intent is that how do we support them, and there are a lot of organizations, to name one, I think Humsafar is one of them, who have been supporting the community to upskill transgender individuals so that they can work and get regular jobs, rather than trying to figure out how to go by how to go from day to next day to survive. And the intent was that how do we come together and make sure that we are able to do our bit to get them to a level where they are able to find decent jobs for themselves and to survive. Because if you have a decent job, you also, with that come a lot of other benefits like insurances, etc., which go a long way. So that was the thought. The thought is not to offend anyone or make any incorrect comment or thought towards the community.
No, I think fair point, Gunveen. Maybe Ashish, before getting your thoughts, let me see what Aparna has to say. Aparna, I see your hand up. Okay, I don't see you raising your hand anymore, so not sure if you had a question. Ashish, would you want to add anything to what Gunveen has to say?
Yeah, I think
Or
we talked about, but the one point that I wanted to make is go, validate the NGO that you want to work with. There are a lot of there's a lot of connect between the ARGs within this space itself, and talk to each other and understand which is the best NGO to partner with, and people who are making real difference in the life of people from community. Don't engage in financial charities. I think spend more time in skill building, because that's what will prepare them for their life ahead. Giving a bit of a bonus or cash reward or something will take care of that day or the next day. But if you can invest time and energy and resources in skilling them for future, I think that is the best way to help them without demeaning their existence itself.
Thanks, Ashish. My last thoughts, I think we discussed few very important points to all of you all who are hearing us today. I think India has already launched upon its journey as corporate India, or as NGOs, or as companies who really feel for this cause. There's a lot of work still pending, and I truly believe that we have great examples from the last so many decades, from other countries, from companies around us. We can all, as a community, this is one area that I've seen, no company feels competition. Everybody comes together and is ready to share their best practices. So I would say any one of you in the process of setting this up for yourself, there are so many industry leaders. Feel free to reach out to us. We are all available in the social networks. It's been a great session. Thank you, Out and Equal, for this great opportunity. Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Gunveen. And thanks to the other two panelists that we had, Shilpa and Deepa, who had to drop off. Thanks a lot. And we hope we all see each other sometime again with a much greater achievement, with a much more authentic surrounding around us, and with a much more inclusive agenda for all of us to drive. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.